In case you didn't know this about me, I'm a published author of 3 books. This is not to brag about me, but this is to say that despite having a decent control over the English language, I did not get a 98th, 99th, or a 100th percentile in my CAT. I got a 97.89 or something in my VARC section, and I know where I lost my marks. It was because I could not pay attention. My VARC was largely self-prepared. I did not, yes, I took some mocks and I went for a coaching class on paper, yes, but I largely self-prepared for VARC. And one of the biggest challenges that I had was I could not pay attention. So I would be looking at a page, I'd be looking at the screen, but I would simply not understand what was written. And not because I didn't understand English, but more because I couldn't pay attention. So people say that skimming is very important, that when you're especially doing an RC under time pressure, skim karna काफी important होता है, which is true. But what is more important is that you need to understand what you're reading. There's no point skimming and just glancing through stuff if you don't understand what is being said. So the thing to do is, my recommendation would be to start with a physical book. You can take any book of your choice. Recently I got a bunch of books from Oswaal books. I didn't know they were into CAT publications, to be honest, but I've used their 10th and 12th mocks, so I kind of knew that they exist, and I was fond of their 10th mocks in particular. It really boosted my confidence. I got a 10 on 10 CGPA, so I was very happy basically. So I very recently got these books because they wanted me to review them. So anyway, I'll get into the review in a bit. But what I wanted to say is that you start with a physical book. Start underlining things. I'll show you a mock of how to do it in a few seconds. But start underlining things. Start making notes on the side. And then you move to a digital platform. Because once your eyes are used to just reading things in sequence and used to kind of paying attention and actively reading, because a lot of times you're passively looking at things. So once you get into the habit of active reading, then you can move on to a digital platform, and then you can hone your skills vis-a-vis an e-paper. So that's about the most important parts that I wanted to talk about. This is largely about reading comprehensions. VA is also an important part. For that, it comes with practice. So I would you can use Arun Sharma, or you can use Oswaal books, or you can use any other resource. Personally, I've used both Arun Sharma and I've seen Oswaal books, so I can say that they're both good resources. But yeah, now let's get into the actual doing of solving of a particular RC. Okay, so today for an example, I'm taking Oswaal books CAT 25 years solved paper, so it's a huge book technically, but as an example of how to solve an RC, I am probably going to take the second RC because I've solved the first one, so I don't want to take it again. But here we go. This is passage 2. This is from the 2023 paper. I don't think you can see it, but this is from the 2023 paper, shift 1, which is slot 1. So the passage over here, we're reading from here, and probably I'll read only the first paragraph. 50 years after its publication, since the year this guy, Marshall Salins, himself died, we may ask why did his essay, so there's this guy called Marshall Salins, he's written some essay, have such a huge impact. So basically this guy is some killer dude who's written a great piece of essay. What was his argument? His argument was simple but counterintuitive. Before being driven into the marginal environments for colonial powers, hunter-gatherers, blah blah, were engaged in a desperate struggle for meager survival. Okay, this is the crux of what he's saying. So I will write it down. I'll mention that this is the crux of his essay. On the contrary, quite the contrary, they satisfied their needs with far less work than people in agriculture and industrial societies, leaving them with more time to use as they wish. So what are they basically trying to say here? They're saying that because of colonialism, people were kind of made indigenous people, and people who were not colonized, it kind of made them slaves to this sense of meager survival. They were more connected with the game of chance than the chances of the game. So-called Neolithic revolution, rather than improving life, imposed harsher work regime and set in motion a long history of growing inequality. Now what I'll do again is I'll just read what I've underlined. Okay? So I see that there's this guy, Marshall Silence. He's written an essay called Original Affluent Society. He had a simple point, which is that before being driven into marginal environments, hunter-gatherers were not engaged in a desperate struggle for meager survival. They had a lot of time to do what they wished. This is the crux. Okay? So the point of underlining is to actually just, the first step is to read, get a sense of it. Second, when you underline, you know which parts of it are relevant, so you just have to skim. So the first step is to read properly, second step is to skim, and then when you attempt a question, you know where to look. So that's broadly how I used to approach it. Yes, once you go into a digital platform, you don't have the luxury of underlining, so that's when you make shorthand notes, shorthand or whatever notes that you can understand. So coming to the book now, the book also has an online access. So it's also helpful if you're self-preparing, because then you can buy the book, you can try the online questions. There's a lot of resources, there are real tests, and this book has 25 years worth of material, which is a lot. So yeah, if you it has a lot of features also, which I really like. Okay, the other book that they sent me was basically a question bank, which is pretty cool, especially if you want to do topic-wise practice, because a lot of times a mock can be very draining. It takes a lot of time, and you might have not prepared every topic on the mock. So this really helps. So what I really liked is they have like these mind maps, which are really helpful, just to get a gist of what it is. So you don't have to read the whole book, you can just read the mind map. There's a trend analysis, which I really liked, because it shows you what kind of questions have been coming over the past few years. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just going to allow it to focus so you can read it. So that's very helpful. The trend analysis is a very cool thing. And then of course there are plenty of questions from, there are like types of passages. So this is nice. So here they're talking about, say, a factual passage, a narrative passage, etc. So these are all technical details which you don't need to memorize. But the thing is, when you have an understanding of what these things are, you can identify it when you're doing the question. Now see, there are previous year's questions here, which is pretty cool again, because you have, and they mention which year. So if it is too dated, you know that the paper pattern has probably changed, and therefore these kind of questions will not come anymore. But I think post 2018, I think any paper post 2018 should be relevant to you guys. So there's that. And yeah, so the book is good. The book is damn nice. Yes, I was asked to review it, and this is my honest review of it. So there are 3 books that I was actually sent. There's another book. So I've shown you the first one, which is the 25 years mock paper. And this is some 10 mock test papers. Now these are actual mocks. They're not past year's papers, but they're like mocks that these guys have done, and these mocks also have a trend analysis over here. So each each paper comes with its own trend analysis. So yeah, so basically these are the 3 books that they sent me. Overall, they're great. Yes, some of them might be a little outdated because past 25 years questions might not be very relevant because the paper patterns changed and stuff, but it's a good repository to have if you're looking for conceptual knowledge. And of course, this is the first step. Doing it from a book is the first step, and the next step is to do it digitally. But yes, Oswaal has these online tests as well, so you can always give them a shot. And apart from that, you can always take mocks from IMS time, etc. So that's about it. I'll add the link to these books soon, and I'll also make a video on how I solved DLR sets and point sets if I remember something. So yeah, I'll see you.